All right, thanks everybody for joining us this afternoon for our weekly press conference with New Mexico State head men's basketball coach Chris Jans. Coach, obviously, busy week, 3 games in 5 days here for the Aggies. Just kind of talk about this week and how important it is to kind of get off to a good start here, especially with the WAC tournament coming here next week.
Yeah, like you said, quick turnaround. Not a lot of time to think about it. I'm sure everybody in the program is excited that we're playing tomorrow since, how we played on our last outing. We don't have that much time to stew on it. We have to move on and try to prepare for the next game. So I'm probably the only one that's disappointed with not having more practice time. But again, when we made this decision, we felt it was the right one long term to just get another game under our belt and more experience for all of our guys, not even our new guys, but all of our guys, to try to just get better on the court rather than in practice. And, late February, we're in March now. Most teams are fine tuning and getting ready to play in their conference tournaments and trying to just keep their rhythm. Unfortunately for us, we're still trying to find that ultimate rhythm. And we got some more cracks at it to try to get ourselves in position to be playing our best the last week of the season.
Coach, what's kind of the difference in mentality as far as just preparing, and getting better in a game-like atmosphere versus practice? You had said that you would rather practice. I'm sure the guys would rather play. Kind of what's the biggest difference?
You just can't replicate the speed of the game. The bad thing is you only have 5 of your guys out there at one time rather than 10. So everybody's getting, more reps in practice than they would in the game. So, but like I said earlier, you can't replicate the game, especially in March in practice. You just can't. You can have a scout team try to do it as best they can, but there's nothing like the game environment and the game experience. So, but there's positives and negatives. I certainly, for me, I can't stop the game and try to point out their mistakes. I have to wait till afterwards and watch video and in the next practice situation. And because of the quick turnaround, we didn't get to do a heck of a lot from our last outing. We had to move forward and try to get ready in a game plan set for the next particular game, which is at 11 a.m. tomorrow, which is obviously an odd time. If you do college basketball enough, you play it, every time imaginable. I've tipped off at 10, 11 a.m. and midnight for that matter. So that's just, how college basketball works. And I'm kind of glad that it's an early tip, to be honest with you, just to see how they'll react. And we get more rest time then before we have to go travel to Dixie to play the last series.
What's it going to take to win tomorrow? Just what are you expecting out of this matchup?
Well, again, it's depending on your perspective. The prep is very similar to going into Tarleton because of their focus on defense, their focus on turning you over, on hitting up the ball. Rio Grande does it in a different style than Tarleton does it, but the end game's the same, to get deflections, to turn people over, to score off their defense. But again, they do it in different schemes, etc. So the mentality of passing and catching and being tough with the ball and getting open and understanding, what they're trying to do and try to combat it the way we've been trying to practice to do it. We weren't great at it past weekend. Maybe that'll help us going into Tuesday, but at least it's a similar thought process. But like I said, it's completely different schemes on how they're getting to the end point. But in order for us to win, we've got to take care of the ball better, get more shots on goal. And then just offensively, it's been a work in progress all year long. Tarleton they changed more defenses on Saturday than they did on Friday. And I didn't think we struggled with the changing defenses. It's more just the execution of whatever we were in. I thought we did a decent job of getting organized when they changed defenses. And Tuesday, that'll be a key because they're going to probably change defenses more than we've seen all year long. And we'll have to get organized and then eventually execute whatever the call is.
Coach, how, I guess, tough is it going to be going against UTRGV and looking across at the other bench and not seeing Coach Hill?
You know, I thought about it a lot the last 24 hours because, you know, I'm watching them play and I'm looking at their bench and they've got a, you know, a sport coat on the chair, and looks to me like they got a whiteboard for the ball coach on his chair. And, you know, so it's really easy to let your mind wander when you're in work mode, and that's okay. I mean, it definitely provides a lot of perspective, you know, big picture of, you know, what's important in life. And I've had several moments like that in the last 24 hours because of that being, you know, on my computer screen. Not that I haven't thought about it a number of times, you know, since the passing of Coach Hill and how it made us all feel. But now, you know, I feel for their program. I watch their players, and I've always had a lot of respect for a lot of their players and how hard they play and their whole program and in general, and how well they've been doing considering the historical, you know, piece to what they've done in that program for the most part, and their staff and their players have done a good job of really growing it and winning a lot of games, and you know, being in a position where they can win conference championships and compete for NCAA tournaments, and they're there. So yeah, just when I watch them play, I know for most of them it's got to be a real struggle, and I just feel for those kids because I just can't imagine having to go through that.
Hey, Chris, I'm curious, with the week left in the season, the approach, I would imagine normally, obviously you know better than I, but I would imagine is more about fine-tuning what you know you have for the conference tournament and then whatever might be beyond that. Are you still in trying to figure out what you have mode, or is there a point where you just have to say, okay, this is what we have, now I got to tweak for a conference tournament? And I guess this being the final week of the regular season, how much tweaking are you still doing, and how much are you trying to get into what used to be the norm for a final week of a season?
Well, I think I know what we have. It's definitely a different mindset right now than it is the previous 3 years. Going into the last week of the season, we're still trying to make sure we're all on the same page. We're still teaching and coaching more than maybe we ever have at this point in the season, right? Regardless of where we've been as coaches, just because of the reality of where we're at. And then you throw in, you know, all the injuries that we've sustained recently and other situations, and you know, having a roster that's just not full, that throws, you know, wrenches into it, not just in game day, but in preparation. And that makes it difficult. And it's just, you know, it's not fun. It's not what you want. You want to be, you know, crescending towards playing your best and having great energy and everybody locked and loaded. And we're just not there now. I'm not saying that we can't get there and that we're not trying to get there, but the mindset is definitely different right now today with the number of days left than it has been in the past. And it's more of, I'm still trying to get, you know, everybody on the same page, still trying to teach and coach a lot of the guys that are still new. And then especially given the circumstances with the roster, you know, some guys are having to play maybe more minutes than we all expected them to play, but we've got to get them up to speed and game ready as best we can.
I would imagine, just as a quick follow to that, that there's times of this time of year, normally you rely on maybe some veterans to remind the guys, like, okay, this is the mode we get into now when we go to a conference tournament. I imagine none of that really applies to this season, really.
No, I disagree. We've had some guys in video and even in practice today that have been around and have won many championships. Talk about that. Not which I love. Not me urging them. Not me planting a seed. Just understanding the time of the year. You know, understanding the importance and the not relaxing and the trying to get laser focused on you know what we're trying to do. And so that's a good thing. That's a great sign. And but we've definitely had some of that in the last 48 hours since we returned from Texas.
Chris talked about being shorthanded. Can you give us an update on Evan Gilliard and Wilfred? Will they be available tomorrow? or even this weekend possibly?
I'm not sure yet. They didn't practice today. I don't know. I don't know. I'm hopeful for this weekend, but in terms of tomorrow, I just don't know. It'll be more of a game time decision. I think if I had to bet money, I think one of them possibly could play tomorrow, and one of them probably won't. But it could be 2 for 2 or 0 for 2, real easy. At this point, I take anyone we can get. I'll take another live body, another person to have in the rotation. But I don't make those decisions. The trainers and the doctors do. So we'll see.
Chris, I wanted to ask you too, when you're watching film from UTRGV's series this past weekend, you've talked about a little bit that you can't imagine what they've gone through, but could you see that emotion that they were kind of wearing on their shoulder in both games against Utah Valley this weekend? It seemed like there was a lot of emotion coming in from those guys.
I think it'd be unfair for me to really comment on that because I wasn't there and I'm not in their locker room, not in their practice. I would imagine that there's been it's been an emotional roller coaster. I just can't come on, it has to be for everybody. I'm sure they're trying to, play in a way where they know he's watching over them and continuing to try to play like he wanted them to play. I'm sure they're doing that, and that's wonderful. But in terms of, what their emotional state is, for me to comment on that, I just don't think I have enough information to be able to really do that. Now, maybe after tomorrow, I know some of these coaches pretty well from years ago, and certainly have competed against some of these players. But we're both going to be trying to compete, and but at the same time, the humanistic side will take over you, and I hope to have a couple conversations at some point with some of the folks over in that program.
Coach, going back to Evan, were you able to pinpoint just what exactly it is that he's dealing with right now?
He's just got an injury, and they're trying to get him to where he can be game ready.
Anything else for Coach here this afternoon, guys?
Coach, I got one more for you. I know this will be the last one, I guess, at Eastwood High School before you guys had said that you were going
to. We're playing at Haskins Center.
Say that again?
We're playing at the Haskins Center.
Oh, wow. Okay. I didn't realize that.
I just helped you. If you were going to the game and you showed up, I just saved you some drive time, buddy.
You saved me big time. That's my mistake. But with that being said, I still can ask this question. What kind of host was Eastwood, I guess, just in the sense that you hadn't played there, you knew nothing about it. It was a high school gym that obviously was a kind of a good looking high school gym at that. What was kind of hosts were they?
They were awesome, particularly the gentlemen that I dealt with, Coach Gomez and Coach Morales, were just awesome. I mean, they had a lot of other responsibilities going on in their lives. One of them coaching their basketball team, but it was as if this was the most important thing going on when we were there. That's how I felt, and we're very appreciative of them helping us out in need. And it wasn't home. People ask me, what was the experience like, or were you satisfied? I'm like, hey, it is what it is. I can't be more thankful for what they've done for us in providing the environment that they did, or at least not the environment, but the space that we needed. But it's nothing like, walking out of the Pan Am and playing in front of your home crowd, or just playing on your own floor in the friendly confines when you practice, or at least we've been practicing for a few weeks now there. But the folks over there were awesome, and we're very appreciative of all of them that made them happen, not just the two coaches that I mentioned.
Charlie, I swear I read your press releases. This was momentary lapse.
No, that's fine. I went back and checked everything on social and everything. Don't worry, we're good.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it. We actually, I won't name who, but we practiced over there today, and we had one of our team members, not a player, but a staffer that was at Eastwood. at Eastwood when we were trying to get ready to practice today. So
I'm not alone.
I got a lot of stories this year. That's par for the course around here. Just add it to the list. That's way down on the importance level of par for the course. But I was like, man, that's about right.
Anything else for Coach this afternoon, guys? Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect.
All right, guys. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks. Yep.
Thanks, Coach.